My 11-year-old daughter, which by the way, she took your course, so thank you. I hope she enjoyed it. She chose Roblox as one of her investments. It started out great with a high of 141 and low of 43. Lately, it's taken a dive. It's been hit hard. What should she do? Hang in there or sell? Well, the reason I tell everybody to get your kids to invest is because the number one variable that determines how wealthy a person can be or how much your money can grow is time. The more time you've spent doing one thing or adding to one, one baseline, one benchmark, whatever the case may be, the more you're going to accumulate, right? All wealth really is it's an accumulation process. Think of it like snow. One snowflake means nothing. If it snows for 3 minutes, that doesn't mean anything. But if you have trillions of snowflakes coming down and it's coming down for 2 days straight, well, then you have a blizzard. You have so much snow you can't even move your car, right? So wealth is kind of the same way. If you're consistently putting a percentage of your income into a stock portfolio over a long period of time, you can accumulate quite a bit of money. So if you log in at the blackstockmarketprogram.com, there's something there where I break down. I put a free ebook in there for you guys called the $5 a day investing plan. It's very easy to read. It's very simple. It's very simple to implement, and it will make your children rich. Do you hear what I'm saying? Do you really understand what I'm saying? It will make your children rich. $5 a day, you can't even buy a Happy Meal for $5 a day. But when you put $5 a day into a diversified portfolio for your child at an early age, the earlier the better. You do that consistently, and so when I said $5 a day, I mean like 30. It could be 35 a week. You can do 150 a month, whatever's comfortable for you, right? It doesn't have to be daily. I'm doing $5 a day just to kind of make it simple. But you do that consistently. After about 10 years, your child would have about, historically, they'd have about maybe $29,000 by the time they're 10, $102,000 liquid by the time they're 20, $250,000 liquid by the time they're 30, $750,000 liquid by the time they're 40. And so if you double that number, then the amount of money at age 30 goes from a quarter million, excuse me, to half a million, right? So that's $10 a day. $10 a day. I went to Starbucks and I just now and bought stuff for me and my wife, two bagels, a mocha latte, four waters, and a banana or something. It was like over $20. Okay. So what I want you to really understand is that there's a tremendous amount of wealth related power embedded in all the money that we waste on a daily basis. I'm not asking you to change any of your habits. I'm going to ask you to change anything that you do in your life. Enjoy all the things you enjoy. Just go into your app on autopilot and set it to every week to take about $35 to $40 out if you can afford it. If you can't afford $40, then do something cheaper. But do it. Treat it like a car note. Treat it as seriously as you would a car note or something that matters to you. Except this is the future of your children. I hope your children's future matters more than a car note, right? And just set it on autopilot and forget it. And also keep it quiet. Don't tell your kids that the money's there, because then they get about 20, they're gonna start nagging you for the money. Mama, give me my money. That's my money. Don't even tell them the money's there. Just let them hustle as if they have nothing. And maybe they'll get lucky. Maybe they'll go accumulate something because you're going to be teaching them how to invest anyway. Maybe they'll have enough money where they won't even miss it. But how great would it be if your child is 30 years old and they just got married or something, and you're able to say, by the way, here's $230,000 in a stock portfolio. I'm gonna let you take over the portfolio now. Here's your financial security, son. You're going to be fine. I'm doing for you what Donald Trump's father did for him, right? So I encourage you just to really think about that, and also specifically to speak about your granddaughter. Roblox is not a bad company. They're going to be big players in the metaverse. There's reason to believe that maybe Roblox got a little bit overhyped during the pandemic, so the price probably moved up to 141 because it shouldn't have been that high in the first place. I like Roblox long term, but don't put all your hopes in Roblox. Make sure your daughter, granddaughter. So I can't remember if it's your daughter or your granddaughter. I believe it's your granddaughter. Your granddaughter should have ownership of at least 25 different entities in investing. She should never, ever, ever have all her hopes and dreams on one or two stocks. Do not do that, because companies go bad all the time. They go south. Things fall apart. But if you have 25 different companies that you're investing in, so that means each week you're buying a different stock until you get up to 25. Then maybe you're adding to what you have. Or you can buy a mutual fund. Just get a mutual fund. A mutual fund will automatically put you in hundreds of different companies. So you're not worried about what one company does. You're looking at the whole economy at large, and you're just hoping that the U.S. economy grows, and which it has. And that's how people like Warren Buffett get rich. Okay, do that for your kids. That's how our kids are going to be different from everybody else's kids. So I need y'all to do that for your kids, because that's where when I get old and I'm 85 years old, or 86, like Dr. Anderson, I'm gonna look back and say, I hope that most of our people did what I was telling them to do 35 years ago, because now their kids are the millionaires and billionaires who are going to help us old people, continue the mission, right? Okay, so let me keep going. All right, so Rick Parker says, I know China is unpredictable as far as regulation goes. What are your thoughts on Alibaba stock? I like Alibaba. And thank you for your kind words, Rick. I see your comments below. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, Alibaba is a good company. Alibaba makes money hand over fist. Alibaba is a good investment, but the Chinese government is always a huge risk factor. So, investing in Alibaba it reminds me of how I used to feel when I had this little girl that I liked in the 8th grade, and I would go to her house, and her daddy was crazy. So every time I went to the house, it was a roll of the dice, either I'd be smiling because I got a kiss on the cheek, or somebody would be threatening to kill me. I don't know. Either way, I was happy to go to the house and find out what would happen. But China is like that. China is like that overbearing, scary parent who could flip out at any moment and decide to shut it all down. China has done that. They've shut down entire industries before, and they do it to make a point. They're like the Russians. They're very oppressive and gangster and totalitarian. So they find their billionaires and will put them in prison if they disobey the government. So it's kind of an interesting place to invest, but Alibaba is very good at making money. Okay, I'm answering all the questions that you guys submitted in advance. The next question here is from William, and then once I get done with this, I'll go into the Q&A inside the Zoom, and I'll answer your questions inside the Q&A, as many as I can before we head out at the end of the hour. Let's see here. William says, Dr. Boyce, researching established businesses is not so difficult because information is available. Is there a method system to research new technologies and the companies developing those technologies, such as spatial computing glasses, million-mile battery, etc.? Yeah, there are ways to research. The thing about it is what you can easily find out is whether or not there's a good chance that a certain technology or a certain trend is going to emerge, right? So you can go on the internet, you can watch videos, you can, subscribe to things like the Motley Fool, stuff like that, and take a look. But remember, though, that just because I know that a technology is going to be big, that doesn't mean I know which companies to invest in or which companies are going to control that technology. Let's use the metaverse, for example. How many of y'all believe that the metaverse is going to be important in the future? Give me a yes in the chat if you believe that the metaverse is going to matter 10 years from now. Give me a yes if you're convinced that, and give me a no if you think the metaverse is garbage, it's never going to evolve, ain't nobody going to use it, it's not going to be a big deal. Yes or no? Okay, I see a lot of yeses. Good. Well, so we know this. Everybody knows this. My dog knows this, and I don't even have a dog, right? All of us know the metaverse is going to be a thing. What you don't know is when it's going to be a thing. You don't know how big of a thing it's going to be. You don't know how this thing is going to evolve. What other variables are going to come into play that might shift the metaverse in a direction we didn't anticipate. You don't know which companies are going to control this freaking metaverse. You don't know you think Facebook is going to do it because they're called Meta now. But there are a lot of people even questioning Facebook's involvement in the metaverse and saying, oh, Facebook's going to get trumped by Apple because Apple is about to drop a bomb on Facebook when they release, the Apple version of the Oculus. And you already know Tim Cook has an issue with Mark Zuckerberg anyway, because they changed the iOS settings on the phone to shut down Facebook advertising, where they couldn't get the information from cookies or whatever from consumers. And Facebook was angry. They ran ads in the New York Times against Apple and stuff like that. Apple didn't care. They just said, whatever, we're killing your whole business because you have a kind of a platform, but you don't really have, like, we actually have the phone that gets in people's hands. So we are the gatekeepers, right? So Facebook may get played out of all of this. They may get pushed all the way out. You never know. I mean, but don't underestimate Facebook though. They're very smart. They're very slick, and things can change at any time. But the idea is this: if I'm investing in the metaverse or spatial computing glasses or electric vehicles or cannabis, I'm not looking for particular companies. I'm looking for something that's going to give me a piece of all the companies. I'm not trying to bet on one horse. I'm betting on all the horses. I don't want to bet on who's going to win the horse race. I just want to bet that there's going to be a race, that there's going to be more horse races to begin with, right? And that way, if your company, if your favorite horse doesn't win, you're still going to win because you got involved and invested in this emerging trend. So a good way to get involved in all that at a significant level is to go ahead and give yourself some momentum. Slowly but surely, just add to your portfolio. Just add a little bit. Set it on autopilot. Find your little. There's that Meta. It's not, the ticker's not Meta anymore, but there's this metaverse fund that invests in all these metaverse companies, and just get a piece of that. Or if you really like the future, I'm a big fan of Kathy Wood and ARK. I think she's getting a bad rap. I mean, it's kind of like, for her, it's kind of like being the quarterback of a football team. Quarterbacks always get too much credit when the team wins. They get too much blame when the team loses. So in the pandemic, Kathy Wood was a hero, a genius, the smartest investor that ever lived. And then the next year, she's an idiot, a clown. Everybody's making fun of her. And I like Kathy Wood because she's remained pretty consistent through all of that. And she's been consistently correct in that a lot of the technologies that she's invested in are companies that are going to shape the future. And I would say maybe adding some of those ARK portfolios to your portfolio might be a good way to move forward in that. Okay, so let me hop in and answer some questions in the chat. And if you put your question in the Q&A, I'll see it. If you put it in the chat, I won't see it. So put it in the Q&A section, and I'll sort of rapid fire answer as many questions as I can. And if there's too involved, I might ask you guys to log in at the blackstockmarketprogram.com, and you can leave your question for me next week, and I can answer next week. So if you ask me about a certain stock, like what do you think about the stock with this ticker symbol, whatever, I probably won't know. There's thousands of stocks. I haven't looked at all of them. But if you give me a stock for next week, just log in to blackstockmarketprogram.com. I will look up that stock and I will give you my assessment next week in class. We meet for class every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, and we do this every week. Tasha Muhammad, what are your thoughts on the government freezing bank accounts in Canada? I think it's terrible. I hate it. It makes me really angry. Let's see here. Tara, Dr. Boyce, I hope all is well. I would like your opinion, I guess, guidance on a particular matter for my son. He doesn't want to go to college at all. He wants to go full force and learn about the stock market. Yeah, so here's my thought. I'm not going to tell you, Tara, what to do with your son, because that would be just me overstepping my boundaries, but I can give you an assessment that hopefully will help you make that choice, because you're the boss of all of this. Well, he's the boss, really, of his life, but we're all advisors, and we want to make sure he makes good choices. Here's the thing. I would start by making sure you know there's a difference between going to school and being educated. And there's a difference between being educated and having relevant knowledge. And there's a difference between having relevant knowledge and having wisdom. Wisdom comes from just experience, right? The application of knowledge over a long period of time and different experiences allows you to have wisdom. You'll get that, like, when you're 50 or something, right? I don't know. Or maybe 60. I don't know. But knowledge, to me, relevant knowledge is all the things that you need to know to achieve whatever goals matter for you in life. So what are the things that matter for you in life? Well, the things that tend to matter in the lives of most adults I know are things that revolve around health, wealth, and relationships. Physical and mental health. How do I remain balanced mentally and also physically? Eat the right food, stay healthy so I don't die from all this crappy food that they're trying to give us. Wealth is financial security, just not feeling uncomfortable. I did a survey with you guys, and I think 75% of you said you don't feel financially secure. And I totally get it. I totally understand what that feels like. You're not alone. So what I did was, actually, there's a free lecture you guys can go take a look at if you want to. The URL is blackfinancialsecurity.com. That's blackfinancialsecurity.com. And I literally break down the symptoms or the elements that you want to look for to know what financial security looks like. So feel free to go to blackfinancialsecurity.com, and that lecture's right there. You can go take a look at it if that's something that will help you. So then you've got relationships. what's my relationship with myself? Maybe it's my relationship with God. Maybe it's also my relationship with my wife and my children, right? The people around me that help me survive, right? My wife is not just a really pretty lady that I wanted to date and be with. She's also a person that helps me survive. Do you understand? She makes sure I eat the right food and exercise. She is a person who talks me out of doing stupid things when I want to do stupid things. She's a person who has my back when things go wrong. When I got really, really sick, my wife took good care of me. I take good care of her. So maintaining my relationship with my wife wasn't just something I did to be happier. It was actually an investment, and it wasn't just a financial investment. It was more important than money. It was a life investment. I was investing time and energy and money into making sure that the relationships with the people that matter for me are relevant, because if they don't work out, and every time a relationship dies, black wealth drops. Every time a relationship dies, our anxiety goes up, the risk level goes up. A lot of things go up, except for extremely toxic situations, right? But I say all that to say that when it comes to your son's education, I would encourage him to make sure that he has a plan in place to ensure that he's going to get education and knowledge, right? What is it that you want to do, son? What kind of life do you want to have? Okay, I want to have money. Okay, cool. Right. Well, what is your plan to learn the things you need to learn in order to have money? And give me something systematic. So maybe it means doing some stuff, whether it could be in the Black Business School, or it could be, some of these other online programs that are out here, right? Something that is structured and consistent. I think that is what I would look for in my son. You don't need college to be educated. Believe me, I taught college students for 30 years. I know a lot of dumb people with multiple master's degrees, because they thought that going to school meant you were going to learn something. No, you don't learn stuff just because you went to school. And then sometimes you learn a bunch of stuff, but you don't understand that. The only thing worse than being an uneducated Black person is to be a miseducated Black person. So the severely miseducated Black people sometimes do more damage to the community than the uneducated Black people. So ultimately, learning all the right things that he needs in order to have the life that he wants is important. Financial security is going to matter for him in a lot of different ways, but also the ability to do things like manage relationships not only spills over into health and finance, but it also is just something that is just going to matter. You have kids, you want to get along with your kids. You have kids with a woman, you want to get along with that woman. If you don't, then y'all hate each other. She's going to child support, trying to take all your money, in the courtroom. Next thing you know, you're broke again, right? So, and broken emotionally, right? Because you're mad and bitter, and now you're on the internet complaining, thinking that Black women are terrible because things didn't work out with your baby mama, right? We see it everywhere, right? So ultimately, I would have that talk with him, and you can even play this recording for your son as my direct answer to him, to say that, you got to prepare for your life, man. Like, whatever you're doing, you better be doing something. You better be doing something. And that's the key idea, So if the plan is to get up every day and smoke weed and play Xbox till it's time to go to sleep again, no, we're not doing that. Where are you being educated, and where's the structure behind your plan? A man with a plan will almost always succeed, especially if he develops the discipline to execute that plan and he's consistent with it. That's my 2 cents. All right, let me keep going. Natalie, is it best to keep putting $5 a day into the market, or halt until the market straightens out? I would pick my strategy and stick with it. I wouldn't let the market conditions change how you approach investing. If you're an investor, be a damn investor, right? If the market's good, you're an investor. If the market's bad, you're an investor. That's what Warren Buffett does. That's what I want you to do too. Which sector should we be buying or avoiding? A lot of people right now, Eric, they like things like healthcare. A lot of people like a lot of the blue chip companies. They tend to enjoy companies that are making a profit now. Those small tech companies that are losing money, they're at risk, because as the Fed increases interest rates and stuff like that, it might impede their access to capital. It certainly undermines the models that determine what their valuation is. Remember, a valuation is arbitrary. You can justify a lot of different valuations of a company. And there are a lot of people that, this is the fragility of capitalism in the financial system. A lot of so-called wealth is based on people getting, loans and financing based on a certain agreed upon valuation of the underlying assets that they're using as collateral. This is why Donald Trump is under investigation right now, because there's a lot of reason to believe, and I don't doubt that he did this, that Trump inflated the values of some of his assets so he could get bigger loans and leverage and get more access to capital. And so And it's all arbitrary, right? If they they prove that he did it wrong or he was misleading the banks, then they're right. But if they don't prove anything, then they're probably right too. Like, because these numbers, nobody knows what these true numbers are. So my point is to say that there are some companies that are clearer and sturdier than others, where their valuations make more sense than other companies. A company that's making $1 billion a day, that has factories and plants and systems all around the world, that's easier to value than like some tech startup where you're betting on the charisma and intelligence of some good-looking white kid. Like it's tangible. That's why Warren Buffett doesn't invest in companies where their valuation isn't clear. He likes to invest in companies that are bread and butter, nuts and bolts type companies, where meat and potatoes companies where you can touch the assets, where the money's coming in, what the cash flow looks like. So I would aim for companies like that. What I've done, if you log in at the blackstockmarketprogram.com right now, there are companies I've been putting in there for the past few weeks. I've been giving you guys companies that are more sturdy and defensive in this situation. So for those of you that like sports, one analogy I would use is like in football, when the way you play changes based on the conditions. If it's sunny and the weather's great, maybe you throw the ball down the field more because it's easier for the wide receiver to see the ball and make the catch. But if it's a snowstorm and it's cold and it's windy, you don't throw the ball, you run the ball, because that's how you protect the ball a lot better than trying to throw it down the field. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so Kim Hitchcock, what about gold, robots, self-driving cars, stocks? I like all of that, Kim. I think those are great. And gold has probably gone up in value because during times like this, the price of gold tends to go up. But gold is not something that's going to make you rich. Gold keeps you rich, but it doesn't make you rich. If you had 2,500, what low risk ETF stock would you recommend investing into? I still like the S&P 500 Spider, SPDR. I just like it because you get a piece of all the S&P 500 companies, and those companies may still continue to go down, but that's a pretty safe place to put money in my view. I'm part of the Freedom Family Online and Senior Financial Literacy Center, literacy coordinator for the city of Memphis. I wanted to purchase the flashcards for each library, but they're sold out. Yeah, email support at theblackbusinessschool.com. Edmund, the flashcards, we have had them sold out for a while. I think they're overhauling the flashcards and redoing them. So just email support at theblackbusinessschool.com, and they can take good care of you and help you figure out, when we'll have some in stock. And I appreciate your support, and I love what you're doing down in Memphis. Thoughts on NEO? NEO is very risky, Regina. I mean, if you invest in NEO, make sure you spread your money out. I wouldn't, if I had extra money, I wouldn't go put it all in NEO. It's a little bit of a gamble, to be honest with you. Samantha, greetings, Dr. Boyce. How are you doing today? Enbridge Oil Company in Canada. Samantha, I don't know anything about that company, but I will be more than happy to research it for you and give you my special Dr. Boyce response to that question next week in class. So just log in at the blackstockmarketprogram.com. Go to the top, leave your question. If it's a stock or if it's a situation, or you want to ask me about your kids, you want to ask me about, your cousin's liquor store, I'm always happy to give you my 2 cents on any question you may have. So just log in. Chanel is in the chat. She put the URL in there for you. So just log in right there, and you can put that question in there for next week. Same thing for you, Audrey. I don't know anything about Petro. So it sounds like maybe a gasoline company or something, or yeah. If you put it in there, I can research it for you. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and bounce on out. We've had an hour of intense conversation about the market, and I hope this was helpful to you. I hope that you feel more comfortable about what's going on. And I love you too, Ron. Thank you very much. And Sharon, you're welcome. It's great to see you all every week. Don't forget, every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, we will do this constantly till the wheels fall off. And also, you can log in at the blackstockmarketprogram.com to see the recording of this session or any other session. We do this every week. I record them all. They're all in there. So if you want to keep the party going today, just log in right now, and you can watch the recordings. You can watch them all day. A good way to consume investing information is this is what I do when I want to learn something, is you can actually log into the Black Business School and you can just play the class, and you don't have to look at my face. I mean, unless you just think I'm incredibly handsome and you want to stare at me while I'm talking, you really don't actually have to look at me while I'm talking. You can just listen and put some earphones in, and while you're exercising or cleaning the house, you can play it, and there's a little button where you can actually speed it up and go to, say, 150% so that the words come out faster and you can get through the content faster. And I promise you, don't think you have to sit down and take notes and memorize a bunch of facts and take exams in order to learn something. conversational learning works extremely well. This is how my daddy taught me the best lessons in the world, by having real life conversations about the things that we would see in the street. Okay. The world is your university. I want you to understand that, right? This is where our learning goes beyond everybody else's learning. Everybody thinks, the universities matter and taking classes and exams matter. No, talking matters. If you're talking, our kids, for example, every day they're talking to me and my wife. They're talking to two college professors every day. And we're talking about everything. You don't think those kids are getting a good education by being in our house? My Lord, you don't need these schools to do that. You can do that on your own, right? So just keep that in mind. All right. So Natalie says, I didn't see your stock picks for this week. That's because I haven't put them in there for this week, but I will have them in there today. So good point. Also, don't forget the ones I picked for last week are also still very, very good. I still recommend them. Everything that I put in there for you is literally designed to be a long-term investment. Okay. So if it was good 3 months ago, it's still good today. And these are things that either I have put my money into or I would put my money into. So there's no guarantees, but this is what I like based on my research. Okay. All right. So the blackstockmarketprogram.com is where you can log in. Also, if you're interested in joining us for that Black Wall Street mini conference on the 22nd, that I put together, how to build your own Black Wall Street, feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. For the next 24 hours, there's a 48% discount. So you can feel free to take a look and see if it works for you. And it's going to be on March 22nd at 8 p.m. So boycewatkins.com is where you can go to take a look at that. All right, guys, please have a wonderful day. God bless you. Love you. And I hope you make $1 trillion. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.